The unknown soldier who drew these or painted these watercolours was present at the Battle of Maketu, the Battle of Pukehinahina, and the massacre that took place at Tauranga.
History is made every day, and for the past 40 years, Tauranga City Libraries has been building an online archive to connect our people, our place and our past. The latest addition to Pae Koroki is a collection of 15 watercolours painted by an unknown colonial soldier.
Our artworks collection is roughly 140 in size. We are still discovering more artworks as we go along. The majority of our artworks collections are watercolours, and these watercolours have come from people that we actually don't know. And so one of the significant collections that we have in our artworks is a collection of 15 watercolours who were painted by an unknown colonial soldier who fought in the Battle of Pukehinahina. He was also at the Battle of Maketu, who painted these beautiful watercolours of the pa, of the waka, colonial ships.
Before being made available to the public, it's up to Elijah to take detailed notes.
I find out the context, date ranges, when they might have been painted, and so understanding the events of the painting themselves, so the Battle of Maketu. This one here is a bit of a snapshot of the battle that happened in Maketu. You've got colonial ships or schooners firing off their cannons into the pa, mostly off Te Arawa. I researched the colonial schooner ships that are painted in these drawings. I researched the waka that are lying on the beach in these drawings. I then type it all up into a spreadsheet which records all of the background information that we know about these artworks, and I get them ready to be digitised. And when they're digitised, we will then make these artworks digitally available online, our new platform, Pae Koroki.
From old newspapers and artworks to negatives and glass plates, there's a lot of history to keep track of.
In 2021, archive means that we've expanded our job description. Not only are we looking after physical analogue things, but we're now trying to make them digital so that we handle those negatives, manuscripts, archives less often, which helps them stay preserved. And now that they're digital, we can make them available, put them online, make them discoverable, and have the community actually contribute to describing what they are.
These precious reminders of the past are kept in a special room known only as the fireproof room.
We don't usually let people behind the blue door because this is a special temperature-controlled fireproof room where we monitor the temperature and humidity. But come in and have a look. Well, if you've ever walked out of a hot, steamy bath into the living room and felt your skin drying and thought, oh, I better put some moisturiser on or something like that, well, paper, negatives, glass, artworks feel the same way. They don't like to go from hot, steamy to dry and cold regularly. They like things to be even. So you'll find that paper likes to be between 12 and 16 degrees, and it likes the humidity to be quite low, under 60%. So we try to keep the temperature and the humidity in this room at a room that makes paper feel comfortable. However, we've got some negatives from the 1950s, 60s, 70s, and they like it to be super cold, maybe 3 degrees, and they want the relative humidity to be even drier.
Should the worst happen, a sprinkler system will spring into action.
In this particular room, we've got a fire suppressant system that doesn't use water, it uses an inert gas. We don't really want sprinklers in here because you can imagine that archives and negatives don't particularly like being doused in water.
Although the archive is being digitised, not everything will end up online.
We receive content from the community that is a gift, tuku, but we also kaitiaki content from the community that's more takoha. So we're entrusted with it rather than owning it. And sometimes content that we're entrusted with, the actual owners don't particularly want it online, or if they do want it online, they want it online with some controls around it. So we endeavour to work in partnership as a memory institution of Aotearoa, which is a memory institution that sits on top of the Treaty of Waitangi and responds to our obligations and the values from within that treaty.
Adapting the archives to better represent Maori and Pakeha is an ongoing process.
We do recognise that there are gaps. I think in the past we've been very European-centric, and so we're much more interested now in filling in some of those gaps. And sometimes that means receiving content from Te Ao Māori. Sometimes that means actually just being entrusted with content from Te Ao Māori.
And both agree that the effects of COVID-19 on the region will be of significant interest to future generations.
The social distancing rules, how that has restricted our hapu and iwi to embrace one another through hariru, through hongi, through kihi, as well as being able to express our tikanga on the marae. A lot of our marae are closed at the moment, which has a heavy impact on our people, being able to come together. So I think in 100 to 200 years' time, if our mokopuna were at the time in the future, we're able to see some of the challenges that we face today, I think will be really quite interesting and valuable.
During the first lockdown in New Zealand, we put word out that we'd be interested in people's diaries of their time in lockdown, and we actually have some content from that first lockdown, which has an embargo, I think, of 50 years. People will be interested to know what that felt like, what that experience was like.
If you'd like to take a trip down memory lane, check out the Pae Koroki online archive. Gavin Ogden, Local Focus.